Thank you everyone for coming to this latest session of LocalGov Drupal Week 2025. It's great to see you all. I'm Will Callahan, Product Lead for LocalGov Drupal, and I'm particularly interested in this session because it's all about product enhancement. We're joined by Lawrence and by Alice from Big Blue Door, and the title of this session is 15 Ways to Enhance Your LocalGov Drupal Site. They're both product delivery directors, not project, I'm told, although we know they're interchangeable sometimes. So just before we get going, we just need to thank our event sponsors. So Anatech, who hold our development contract for the co-op, Agile Collective, who ran our previous dev team through alpha and beta phases, and then now do support and hosting for us. And obviously Big Blue Door, who are here today. Thank you for coming, who are sponsoring, do a lot of improvements anyway. They sponsor Mark Conroy to work on our platform, who's our front-end lead, and we're very grateful for that support. Thanks also to our council and supplier subscribers and all our supporting partners too, because all your contributions help. It's why we're here. We can do more with your help. Just quickly on the Zoom front, you can change how all this works, but I think everybody, I bet, now has been in the session. If you go to the view menu, top left, I think, or top right maybe, you can change how this appears. Please do add your questions in the chat, and I think Alice, Lawrence and Simon are going to be picking questions at intervals. I'm really looking forward to seeing your questions. This session is being recorded, so if you don't want to be on screen, switch your camera off. And if everybody could switch your audio off, that would be brilliant. So I'll now hand you over to, I think, Alice, you're starting.
Yeah, thanks, Will. And yeah, thanks to everyone for joining today. Very, very quickly about Lawrence and I. So as Will says, we are two of the only delivery directors at Big Blue Door. Between us, we've both got actually over 10 years experience with Drupal and 4 years experience with LGD. We both run our kind of new build delivery team, and between us we have delivered over 40 LGD sites and counting. Actually, our latest site went live yesterday for Gedling Borough Council, so really nice to see that one go live. So yeah, lots and lots of Drupal experience between us and LGD specifically. Today we are going to hopefully share some hints and tips about custom development you can make to build on the fantastic base of LGD, a real mix of simple Drupal modules, the page editing features, things like trash editorially, plus custom integrations that can really add value to both your internal and external user base. We did say 15 in our session, that is the title. In reality, there's a few more than that, but we've squeezed them into 15 categories to try and deliver what we promised. Not all will be relevant to all councils. You'll see throughout that we're using a variety of different projects. I think between us, we're demoing about 10 different websites today. It's absolutely expected that some might not be useful, some will be, but hopefully some really, really good examples for you to think about to push your website forward. Lawrence and I are going to kind of switch between us throughout, and in between when we switch presenter, we'll try and cover some questions, as Will said, as we go through. So Simon's going to be keeping an eye on the chat. And just to say, obviously the LGD team will share the slides, as Will says. If you also want a copy of these slides, then reach out to Simon. I think Simon's going to pop his email in the thread at some point as well. So just to say, we're more than happy to share the slides directly should you want them. So I'm going to start very briefly with a few page editing features that you can install to try and improve your editing experience in the CMS. These are all what are called contrib modules. They're simple Drupal modules that can be installed to aid your content editing experience. I'm going to go into an actual backend in a second, but just to kind of show you what we've got on the screen here. We've got things like reading score, we've got things like spell check, we've got things like hyperlink checker, so we can easily link to internal links, and then also an AI tool which you can add into your backend as well. So I've got a couple of examples here from various sites. So you can see here we've got the spell checker functionality which you can add into the WYSIWYG editor. You can see here it will pick up any spelling mistakes. Standards kind of underlined with a red. It gives you the option to choose the correct spelling, but also you've got things like settings. So you can set things like ignoring all caps, ignoring domain names, and various settings that you can update to be more relevant to what you guys need. We've also, if I scroll down, so this is just a standard WYSIWYG editor. It's using Seek Editor, which is what LGD uses out of the box, but it's just some additional plugins to Seek Editor itself. So you've got a couple of extra things here. You've got things like the word and character count that you can add in, gives you a sense of kind of the number of words in that specific text field. And then a really nice one, the RAG rated reading score, which gives you a calculation based on the Flesch reading ease score, and basically kind of simple, moderate, and difficult to give you a really good sense of your copy for that individual section of text and highlight any specific blocks of copy that could be improved or reviewed from a readability perspective. The other one to mention is the link it tool. So for example, if you want to hyperlink a section of text, there's the link it tool addition to the WYSIWYG editor that you can use to link directly to an internal page, an external page, but also to a media item as well. That entity reference option, rather than using a direct hyperlink, is a really powerful one to make sure that you're always referencing up-to-date content. So for example, if a URL changes or if a media file gets updated, rather than directly linking to a specific URL, you're always linking to an entity reference. So for example, if I start typing in about, you can see here you've got the content split by the type of content, so external page, service page, etc. And then if I scroll all the way down to the bottom, you've also got anything that's been uploaded to your media library that you can link to directly. The other one to mention is an AI assistant tool. So this basically allows you to generate copy based on a specific prompt that you give it. So for example, if I prompt it with something like draft some text about how I can pay my council tax, you click generate. It takes a few seconds. It starts building it in the source for you so that it provides accessible heading levels. And then once it's complete, it will pull back to the front end view. I'll wait a second to show you. So you can see here you've got some generated text based on the question I've asked. Obviously, this one's a bit generic. It's not specific to a council, but hopefully a really good example of where you can generate relatively quick copy for some of your page content. This specifically one uses ChatGPT, but it's agnostic and it can be plugged into any of the AI tools, depending on your internal preference, depending on your internal restrictions, anything like that. The second thing I'm going to take you through is a couple of examples of where we have improved the functionality of the site to allow for more, to reduce, to automatically pull in data or files, to reduce manual intervention and to ensure data is always up to date. So we're always looking to reduce pressure on content teams and ensure that validity of content on all of your websites. So a couple of examples. The one here on the bottom left is an example of categorized documents that have been pulled in from an external feed. This is the Trafford website. So the Trafford team have provided a series of feeds with a number of records. In this case, it could be statements of work. It could be freedom of information responses. It could be absolutely anything in terms of kind of documents. Each one has been categorized and each one is in the feed. And we have essentially built a listing page to dynamically pull in all documents, automatically split into the necessary categories. For this one, it's in an accordion. So you have your kind of category title at the top and then the documents within it. So a really, really nice way to ensure that we can pull in dynamic content without without manual population in the CMS. It can be added to a standard content page as a paragraph. So all editors need to do is populate the URL for the feed. So as long as the structured feed matches the build, it will automatically populate the content and be dynamic based on the latest version of the documents that are in the feed. The data is not imported into Drupal, so it runs on a schedule and data is cached. So we're not relying on the feed being available at all times. So it's great from a performance perspective and it's a great time saver for the content team and also to reduce storing unnecessary files in the CMS or in the database. The second example is from the Woking site. So this was specifically designed for their public registers, but could be used for anything. across wider scenarios where key documents are needed to be updated on a regular basis. We've integrated with a council-side FTP box or a folder for the kind of non-technical users, which is where the council will update files and upload them to that box. Each night, we then import the most recent files from the folder and update the files in the website so that the registers automatically update. And you can see here, we've got the links here. So public register of licensed private hire drivers, public register of licensed carriage vehicles, for example. All of these will automatically update on the page based on the latest file uploaded to the folder on the Woking Council side. So this ensures we're always up to date, important from a legal perspective, and reduces, again, manual content population. So is a real time saver for the team. Right. And then the next one is going to be from Lawrence, I believe. Oh, sorry, one more from me.
I was just going to say, I think you got one more, Alice.
Yeah, thanks, Lawrence. Next one for me is around news. So a lot of our clients have been back and forth on working out the best way or the best criteria, I guess, to set around news articles. So how to keep them fresh, how to avoid content bloat, and how to ensure content is not misleading once it gets past a certain time. So a few things we've done to customize the LGD core functionality to start with. We have done things like removing news pages from website search to ensure articles don't fill up results pages and push more important content down. We've also done a hybrid approach where they are included in news articles, in site search, but the articles are filtered out by default, so users still have the option to view them, but again, they're not pushing down more important content that users need to be served in site search results. We can also look at automatically deleting content after a certain period of time. And then the example on the screen that you can see here is an example again from the Woking site, as you can see, where we've added disclaimers both to the content listings, the newsroom, and the individual articles, both flagging content as over a year old. So you can see the tag on the cards, but also adding a little disclaimer or note to highlight potential issues with out-of-date content. So all of these things can, or a combination of these things, can make sure that you've got really dynamic news content on the site, but also ensuring that you don't have any issues with kind of out-of-date or legacy links and information on your news content. Lawrence, now it is over to you.
Thanks, Alice. All right, if I take over screen share.
Yeah, please do.
Right. Thank you from my side for everybody for joining us. I'll be taking over from Alice for the next few items. Item number 4 that we're looking at today is enhanced content review functionality. Now, we all know that the LocalGov Drupal core team have done an amazing job at building in good content review functionality. So that means rather than just having your basic publish, unpublish functionality within Drupal, we actually have that integrated workflow and moderation functionality that allows us to have different workflow states that pages can start, for example, as we have in our slide here. You might start in draft, you might then go to ready for review, and then publish, and we can work through those different states. Just a reminder to everybody on this call that you can actually expand that list to work for your organization. So for example, one of the very first changes we often make is we often add an unpublished workflow state for those pages that we want to take offline temporarily, but they're not permanently archived. And so there is that distinction between pages that are unpublished and pages that are archived. But I have had teams that have expanded this sort of workflow stages to 7 or 8 or 9 different stages, depending on how complicated the internal processes are and how much sign-off is necessary and what that sort of internal governance looks like. So we can build on top of the existing tools to make them much more fit for purpose for your organization. On top of that, for example, a really good way that we can kind of enhance this further is to add an email functionality to this. So as you can see from our second screenshot in the slide here, this is a Mailog screenshot from a place where you can see a site that has got various content review emails. So for example, when somebody drafts a page and they set it as ready for review by a more senior colleague, there can be an email triggered then for that colleague to receive a content ready for review email. Once that piece of content is then moved on to being published, you can then have another email trigger that says your content has been published. And we often find that building in some of these extra email triggers will help teams progress content through all those different workflow stages. Moving on to item number 5. This is another one of those contrib module examples, like Alice mentioned, a small little module that can add an awful lot of benefit to teams. The editorially functionality is an accessibility checker that you can easily add onto your LocalGov Drupal product that will help you guys build good content. So it is one thing. We all know that every new LocalGov Drupal site that gets built often goes through an accessibility review, and by the time that brand new shiny LocalGov Drupal site goes live, it is beautiful, 100% accessibility score all round, and within 6 months there are issues on the site because over time sometimes content gets added to the site that isn't accessible, and gradually the accessibility level of a site is at risk of declining unless it's actively monitored. So here, for example, is we can see logged into the CMS, while I'm busy drafting content in my WYSIWYG editor, the editorially plugin will continually monitor what I'm busy typing in or pasting into the system, and it'll flag any issues for me. So here, for example, I have skipped a heading level. I've gone from a heading 2 to a heading 4. And here it will instantly tell me, look, you might want to check this. There is an issue with your heading levels here. Here I've pasted in some text that is technically a list, but it has not been marked up as a list. There are just dashes instead of proper bullets. And so it will also flag it as an issue. This will generally flag items while we're busy typing, but also if you've saved a page and you've got existing content on the website, once the module is installed, it'll look through those existing saved pages, and from the front end of the website will also flag these items. Then we also have a report that's built into the CMS, a report page that you can access that will show you top issues as well as the pages with the most issues on the site, as well as recent issues. And so you've got both the functionality to look at accessibility issues while you're busy drafting content for existing content, and then also a reporting page that'll give you insights into how your site is doing from an accessibility point of view. And this is specifically looking at content. So this is not, for example, necessarily going to highlight things like color contrast. This is very much looking at content drafting and working on content within your WYSIWYG editor. Moving on to number 6. We all know that out the box, Drupal is quite brutal in that if you delete something, it is completely gone. There is that little message that pops up when you click to delete something that says, are you sure you want to delete this? Because this action cannot be undone. And unfortunately, we all know that despite this warning, often, or more often than we'd like to think, people will accidentally delete content that they didn't mean to delete, and then it is completely gone from the website. And you have to start looking through backups and other things to try and find what you're looking for and what you might have lost. The trash module is a really simple module that can be added to a website that'll give us that ability to say, when you click delete on something, rather than saying this is going to be removed from the website, it moves it into a trash area, similar to how you would find on your Windows machine or on your Mac. When you delete something, there's that option to be able to bring it back. If we look very quickly on this site here, for example, if I take any one of these pages and I click the delete button here, because we've got the trash module, rather than immediately removing it from the database, there's that option to move it into trash. And then you can also view your trash listing to see all items that have been removed. And there's an option to permanently remove it or to bring it back. Item number 7 for us today: the use of paragraphs or the paragraphs module for wider content design. Now, the LocalGov Drupal core team have already done an amazing job at integrating the paragraph module and paragraph functionality into LocalGov Drupal. But we find very often that when dealing with teams using LocalGov Drupal, they very much stick to the standard model of drafting content in a body field inside a WYSIWYG editor. And where that is fine for probably most teams, and we could adequately communicate information like that, using the paragraphs functionality gives us the opportunity to create rich content that is interesting and engaging for our audience. So we often, and in fact, in every single one of our products, we implement paragraphs. We obviously will use it on the homepage, but we have begun to integrate paragraphs on service landing pages, service sub-landing pages in places, and also on service pages and guides, giving users the option to build really engaging and flexible content. From our screenshots here, for example, you can see that we already have that functionality built into LocalGov Drupal. There are also some really nice paragraph picker tools, for example, some extra modules that you can add that gives you the ability to have little screenshots of what that paragraph is going to look like, so that when users choose a specific page component that they want to add to their page, it is clear for them exactly what they are adding to the page and what they can expect that to look like. I have one or two very quick examples here. This is an example of a service landing page that has been created using media with text paragraph components rather than the standard child sort of navigation blocks that we would expect to see, to allow them to build slightly more visual and visually rich content. On here, for example, we can see what that looks like on the back end. We've added the page components field to that content type and allowed them to build the page with those page components. Another example of just enriching a page that is generally built with content directly in the body field, but then adding a bit of additional content using the page components field, for example, being able to add an accordion to that page. So where possible, we are encouraging teams to build engaging content using the amazing tools that are at their disposal within LocalGov Drupal. Item number 8, the multilingual functionality. LocalGov Drupal's multilingual capabilities is quite rich. We know from all of us have been working with Drupal for many years now. Drupal is a completely multilingual, multi-regional tool that can support content in different languages. It just needs to be configured and set up. We also know that we live in diverse areas with lots of people from different communities coming together and often needing to consume our information in different languages. And so as a result, we often have teams asking us, what can we do to make this possible? The two real options are, if you have the resource internally to be able to translate content and publish translated content on your website, that is always the best option. However, for many teams, this isn't an option at all because they do not have the capacity, they do not have the skill, or they might not have the language expertise to do that, in which case we have to fall back to artificial intelligence, or in this case, Google Translate, which is often one of the best tools for translation that we found. Here's a quick example where we've been working with a Scottish council in the far northwest of Scotland in the Western Isles. They had a requirement to support translations on the website and wanted to use both the physical translated content that they publish, but also the machine translated content. Here you can click on the translate button in the website header and it scrolls you right down to the website footer, where we've integrated with Google Translate, allowing users to select the language of their choice, select the button from an accessibility point of view, wanting to wait for that user input before we trigger the translation, and also giving an option for them to publish a translation disclaimer, because we all know that in this case, the English content is the most accurate, and we want to have that disclaimer to say to users, always refer back to the original content in English for the most accurate version of the content. However, this team actually has some in-house experience and have the language capabilities in-house to provide the translations. And so they, for example, on their news articles will often publish news articles both in English and in Scottish Gaelic as well. And so you'll see for this news article, for example, we do have a Scottish Gaelic translation, and we can click that, and that will switch to the Scottish Gaelic version of this news node. When drafting content, it's quite easy in Drupal to support the multilingual content. Once you've set up the different languages, there's a translate tab that you get on every node. And then it gives you your English node, and for every other language that you've got enabled for your website, you can then click the add button to add in a language, a node for the second or third language. Item number 9 on our list today. Many teams here will know that councils often rely on third-party products like ModernGov and other systems to publish information around councillors and council meetings and minutes and things like that. And so we had some teams reach out to us saying they don't want to use those products, and they would like us to bring that information into their LocalGov Drupal product. And so, using all out-the-box Drupal functionality, content types, and views, we were able to very easily build on top of what there is already to add content types for councillor information, for the committee information, meetings, minutes, and things like that. From the same Western Isles website, from the front end, we have a committee listing page where you can click on to view a specific one. You can then look at the different minutes from different from those meetings. So each of these is a meeting, a committee meeting node, and this is a little view that organizes itself by date. And then when you click on that, it takes you through to your meeting page. Here you can see the translation feature that we've just spoken about visible, as well as they publish their meeting information in both languages as well, and allows for easy access using, for example, another paragraph component here, which is the tabs functionality that we have. So we can see a number of these different features that we're talking about today coming together in this one place to create wonderful, rich, multilingual content for users to consume. Item number 10, the media library. The media library has been part of Drupal core now for many, many years, and we all use the media library daily to add images and documents to our website so that we can add them to pages to provide users either with that visual experience or the information that they need from those documents. However, there are different ways that we can extend the normal media experience within Drupal. A few of those ways, I'll mention 3 of them today. One of them is called the Dropzone.js module. And from this first screenshot here, it takes everywhere in Drupal where we've got a single file upload field to upload files into Drupal, and it replaces that field with an area or a drop zone. That's where the name of the module comes from, a drop zone where you can drag and drop files. It also enables multi-file upload or bulk file upload through almost every file input field. So when you're busy building a page, for example, and you've got to add 5 PDF documents to that page, rather than uploading them one by one, you can select all 5 from your computer, drag and drop them, and upload them all into the media library at the same time. If I go one more tab to the right here, here's an example of what that Dropzone.js functionality looks like. You can either click the Select Files button, or you can open up a files window within your computer and drag and drop those files to upload them into the media library. One of the other enhancements to the media library is the media directories functionality. If you can see the standard media filters here, you'll note that there's an extra drop down here called directory, and it effectively runs from a taxonomy vocabulary that is built on the website that allows us to add in taxonomy terms or tags that we can use to organize and tag media items with. So that means when we are navigating our media library content, either from the main media listing like this, or while building content, I have the option to say, I'm currently building content for a specific area of the website. I am looking for example, images or documents that is relating to that area. And because our media items are now organized by area and tagged by area, we can select those tags and we can use the filter functionality within Drupal to specifically find content that relates to those specific business areas. And then the third item that I wanted to show is the file replace functionality. So very often when we work with teams that have to publish PDF documents on the website, from time to time, they will have to publish an updated version of those media items on the website. And so using the file replace functionality allows us then to replace the file with a new version. But the key here is that the new version of the file is accessible on the website from exactly the same URL as the old version. Therefore, that means that users will be able to, users that might have that URL bookmarked, for example, will be able to get the latest version of that file because it's on the same URL. It's an easy way for us to replace files by just using this extra widget that can be enabled. User management. Now we know that Drupal and LocalGov Drupal have robust user management features, and here are one or two bits that we can use to enhance that. We know that some teams use single sign-on functionality, and there are some really good modules and functionality out there.
Two, I think.
To integrate single sign-on functionality so that our users can log into the CMS using either Microsoft or other providers. However, we also know that there are some teams who don't have single sign-on and therefore need robust, secure access to their CMS. So first off, we're going to look at some users, some teams who might not have access, who might not have access to SSO. And so we will look at some modules. For example, one module that already comes out the box with LocalGov Drupal is our automated logout module. This will mean that once somebody has left a browser tab idle for longer than a set amount of time, they will automatically be logged out of the CMS for increased security. A second module that we often find and that we often tend to add to our sites is the session limit module. The session limit means that we can say that from a security point of view, only one user can log in at one time with a username and password. And therefore, we know that we can protect our CMS from multiple users logging in with the same set of credentials. If we don't have single sign-on enabled, two-factor authentication is absolutely key. So one of the modules that we frequently add to websites without single sign-on is the two-factor authentication module that allows us to enable two-factor authentication for products using things like the Google Authenticator app or the Microsoft Authenticator app. You log in, it gives you a QR code. You scan that QR code with your mobile phone and you get that two-factor code coming directly to your mobile phone, allowing you to securely access the CMS. One of the other enhancements that we absolutely have to make these days, the password policy module. The password policy module is a small module that can be added to the website that can allow us to configure how we want users to set up their passwords to make them as secure as possible. We will often use policies like a minimum of 16 characters, one special character, one lowercase, one uppercase, and this will force a user saying that you cannot create a user account or update your password unless it meets these criteria. Now we know that if we use single sign-on, these policies are often implemented through the single sign-on provider. The module that we tend to use most often these days for single sign-on is the OpenID Connect module. It's a module that easily allows us to add integration for single sign-on with both Microsoft, and I've also done one with Google. You can see here, for example, is a product, and the OpenID Connect module creates a button on the login page that allows us to log in with that single sign-on functionality. And we've quite successfully integrated it, as I mentioned, with both Microsoft Entra, I think it's called these days, as well as Google Workspace. There are also various options in the module. For example, having this button on top of the Drupal login fields, below the Drupal login fields, or you can completely remove the Drupal login fields if you want to ensure access via single sign-on only. Right, I think we are nearly there to be ready to hand back to Alice. Worth noting, in the age of AI chatbots have become an incredibly useful tool to help users find what they're looking for. Many of the teams that we work with have been coming to us lately saying they're trialing different chatbots and they would love for us to implement that on their website. The implementation portion is usually very simple and straightforward from a website management point of view. It is often just a few lines of JavaScript code that gets added to the website. So it's definitely far more important to make sure that you procure the right kind of chatbot tool that'll be able to crawl your website to provide good interaction for those users, and that it has easy implementation via Drupal. You can then take that JavaScript, implement it to your Drupal website, and then you can have that chatbot functioning. Here's a very quick example of one functioning on one of our products, where you click it. This chatbot has ingested all of the content from the website, and as you begin to ask it for things, it will immediately begin to take you through, almost as if you're navigating the website, taking you through the information architecture structure for that website, and will ultimately first direct you to the page on the website that might answer your question. And then finally, from my side, we all work with third-party systems. Many of the teams that we support with LocalGov Drupal products also have a planning portal or a My Account portal or other services, mapping services, for example. And there's always that struggle about how to make sure that the website, the public-facing website, and those third-party tools have been themed in the same way to provide that same user experience and that kind of seamless user experience as they move from one product to the other. And one of the ways that we've been doing that is by creating what we call a master style sheet for some of our teams, where we implement all the different heading styles and block styles and font styles, button styles and form styles, giving users the opportunity to visually see that, but then also providing a link to a style sheet. And this style sheet is hosted and accessible. And so third-party applications can link to the style sheet and pull in those styles. Crucially also meaning that down the line, if there are slight tweaks and changes to the global styles on the public website, those global styles are then automatically reflected on those third-party systems. And then lastly, from my side, ModernGov. We have spoken about ModernGov and some teams using ModernGov, and we all know the fantastic work that the LocalGov Drupal team has done in producing a module. I can't remember who was exactly responsible for that right now, but there is a module that allows us to create these template pages for LocalGov, for ModernGov, so that your ModernGov pages already has your Drupal website's header and footer, and it will automatically dynamically input its content, all the ModernGov content, onto these template pages using these tokens. And so that means that if there are ever any changes to your Drupal header or your Drupal footer, they automatically pull through to your ModernGov platform as well. So we highly encourage you, if you have ModernGov, to use this module. Alice, I'll pass back to you.
Well, thanks, Lawrence. So conscious time, we've got 5 minutes left. So I've got a couple of things to go through. Site search, firstly, and then some kind of completely custom data-driven integrations as well. So just to touch on site search first, we wanted to show you a few different examples of site search implementations from both customizations you can do to the out-of-the-box LocalGov Drupal implementation, but also wider solutions as well. So let me show you some examples. So firstly, with Woking, we have a customized version of the stock LocalGov Drupal search, which uses Search API and Solr. So to show you a few examples here, for example, we have the option to filter by different types of content, so filtering by news, events, services, directory pages, for example, also the option to sort by relevance. You can also update or customize the information that displays by default on the results page. So it might be just title, it might be title and summary, it might be title and summary and image, whatever works best for the content that you have. The other feature that we often add to the site search functionality to customize the LGD version is making sure that keywords from the metadata are also indexed in site search. That doesn't happen out of the box. That's a really nice way of making sure that additional metadata is indexed as part of your site search functionality as well. A few extra things. These are all examples of Drupal contrib modules that can be implemented out the box. So they're really simple ways of improving your site search functionality. So the first is a suggestive search. So this essentially takes content from your website as the user types and searches for a certain key term. It suggests pages for you to select or to find. The other couple of options which are a bit harder to demo, but I'll talk you through them. You've got things like did you mean functionality, which suggests other search terms if you've made a typo, for example. There are also ways in which you can add to your site search to ensure that certain pages get returned closer to the top of the results for certain terms as well. So promoting content that you want to weight highly more than others. And then also a synonym functionality to ensure that certain pages get returned against search terms that might not necessarily apply to the page that you are including. So those are all examples of really simple contrib modules that can be implemented to improve your out-the-box LocalGov Drupal search API or Solr-based search. A couple of other examples then. So the first is a third-party solution. So these can be particularly powerful with features like cross-domain searching. They have really good dashboards which allow your team to have more control on your side to manage your own logic, your own weighting. They also include things like analytics, so you can see how people are searching. And normally you can control the theming to match your website styles as well. So really kind of powerful from an implementation perspective. We're saying that third-party searches will always have a license fee allocated to them. So that's worth kind of thinking about. There are examples like Cluedo, Funnelback, Site Search 360, and others. The example that I'm showing on the screen here is Southwark. You can see we are on the main Southwark website. It's implemented within the LGD website, but it's an embed of the Cluedo site search. So you can see here we've got various things that come out. You've got obviously the search results. You've then got the filtering categories should you want them, which you can manage within your Cluedo dashboard. And then you can see here they're using their kind of cross-domain search functionality. That was the main reason that the Southwark team decided to go with that third-party solution. They really wanted the cross-domain search functionality. The next one is a very different one. This actually isn't an LGD site, but it's a Drupal site, and this could be implemented on any Drupal website. So this is implementing or embedding Google search. This is a really simple embedded search using Google's advanced search functionality that allows you to search against all pages within a very specific domain. No control over the styling. So if I search for restoration, you can see as it comes down, it's a very standard Drupal Google search, but a really, really quick way of searching for content using a really advanced and possibly unrivaled algorithm that Google has. And then finally for search, I'm very conscious of time, so I might have to skip the next set of slides. We have an AI-driven search. So this is, for example, on the Barking and Dagenham website. You type in something like paying your council tax, and it automatically generates a response to you based on the content that has been indexed on your site. It gives you suggested response, but it also gives you suggested follow-up questions and also suggested pages to go to should you want to have more information. There's a lot to weigh up when deciding on the best search solution, budget, key requirements, analytics, but there's loads of options that you can explore, both simple customizations of the kind of base functionality, but also external features and external solutions to look at as well. I'm very quickly just going to show you the final slide because I'll touch on it. The final slide, number 15, was going to be about all about data-driven lookups and API functionality. So this is your things like your where I live functionality, your polling station lookups, council tax ban lookups, catchment area search lookups, live status feeds for car parks. All of these things can be done as long as the data is available. I'm very happy to answer any questions at some point or show examples at some point. But yeah, I'm really sorry. We had a lot to get through, and we've
You've done a brilliant job.
So I'll pause there. But yeah, as I mentioned, we'll be able to share the slides afterwards as well.
Fantastic. Any questions, anyone? Feel free to come off mute video.
There were lots of comments, people going,
Yeah.
this is great, we want this. I don't know if I saw any particular questions that weren't answered though.
I don't think so. I think there was one at the beginning from Nova. Can you set it to sentence case everywhere? That was for item 1, Alice.
On search.
I don't know. Nova, you still there?
The answer is yes, you can configure it. Whether that's a default option or whether that's a custom integration, I think the module allows you to do certain things, but yeah, you'd be able to customize it as well.
Fantastic.
I think it was on the editorially analysis of the CK editor input. I think that's where Nova's question was coming from then.
Ah, okay.
My question, but it's just generally, can we set it, because we want all of our headings and subtitles and everything sentence case. I think it, where there's like council tax, for example, it's easier to capitalize than decapitalize it when people are putting in, everyone seems to like title case and we hate it. So yeah, that was just something I wanted. If we can set that as a general rule for the site, it's got to be sentence case.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think you can on the default settings of the module, but you may be able to customize the module separately.
Okay, all right, thank you. Maybe with certain exceptions, I don't know. Well, yeah, obviously we're working with you, so we'll talk about that more.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
And Caroline's got her hand up. Caroline?
Hello. Yeah, some great features there. I'm just wondering, how can we determine which of those features we need to ask for if we're interested in having them, or whether it's just a switch on or off if someone's got access to the administrator privileges, because I don't, so I don't know what it comes with and what we might have to ask Big Blue Door for. Sort of thing.
So the majority of things that we've talked about today are add-ons. Apart from, I know that Will and Finn have said actually a few things have been added into core in the last year or last few releases. So I would suggest asking whoever your kind of main dev contact is, but also having a look through the settings, seeing if you can see anything in the configuration menu, or someone who has access to that, see if there's a settings page that refers to any of the modules that we've had, but also pop me and Lawrence a message, and we can also answer as well. Yeah, happy to advise.
Thank you.
I don't know if anyone else can see hands apart from me, but I could see Nova's hands up as well.
Yep.
Nova? Was that a legacy hand, or is it real time? Love legacy hands. Probably was then. I didn't see any more questions in the chat. Did you, Simon?
No, I think we've answered them all. Great team. I didn't have to do anything. It's brilliant.
Well, we are a little bit over, so I might say bring these proceedings to a... Oh, hang on. Somebody else. Oh, Nova has just asked something. Is the tabs module available on all content types? I'm not sure what that
so
was
Nova,
referring to.
I think it's available on, I need to double check, but I think it's available on all content types that have the paragraphs module enabled. So it'd be your service pages, your guide pages, everything like that, but not your kind of landing pages. So it comes as a standard paragraph. So wherever you've got paragraph options, it'll be one of them.
Oh, somebody just posted about the file replacement tool. There's a question about that. Simon, I can ask this if you want me to, or
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
or Jordan, do you want to, Jordan, if you're there, if you want to
answer
add
that one as well. So on the file replace tool, if you do use the file replace tool, the file replace tool is specifically designed to replace the file using the exact same URL as the previous version of the file. That's one of the reasons why you would use that. So in which case, if you had 2025 in the URL, it would not put 2026 in the URL, it would keep 2025 in the URL, even though you might be uploading a newer version. So if you want a new URL, I would suggest remove the current file instead from the media item and upload a brand new file rather than using the file replace feature.
But with that as well, just a reminder that you would also, if you replace the file on the media item manually, you also need to delete the previous file as well. One of the positive things about the file replace module that it also deletes the old file as well from file storage, which can really help with legacy files and files not being available where they shouldn't be as well.
And then also a reminder, if you do replace a file, you have to clear both Drupal caches and if you're using a CDN, the CDN cache, because otherwise your different caching layers might still be hanging on to the older version of the file.
Yes, I love caching layers. That's probably a good place to stop. This community just never ceases to amaze me, and the ingenuity of our suppliers and Drupal generally is amazing. So thank you to Alice, thank you Lawrence, thank you Simon for coming along. I think we can probably take this to Slack in the product channel or technical or wherever. If people have got more questions, please do ask them. I think we've generally with these sessions we're sending emails to slide decks. If you could share your deck, Alice and Lawrence, that would be fantastic, and to the YouTube videos when they come out. If you could do that, it would be brilliant. Thank you. You will also get every attendee here will get a feedback email, in which 1 is a not very good score, which I got one of them, which I was quite sad about, and 5 is a really good score. So 1 is rubbish, 5 is good. So please do let us know what you think about that. That'd be great. Thank you to our sponsors, to Annotate, to Agile Collective, and of course to Big Blue Doors here right now. There are only a couple of sessions left. There's 2 more tomorrow. Please do come to those, and you can still register to come along. But aside from that, I think we're done. Thank you so much for coming and have a fantastic evening.